What just happened in Austin? The 2025 US Grand Prix qualifying session was absolute chaos, and I'm breaking down every single driver's performance from P20 all the way to pole position. We saw crashes, we saw heartbreak, we saw records shattered, and we witnessed Max Verstappen absolutely dominate when it mattered the most. Why should you care? Because this qualifying session is setting up what could be one of the most explosive races of the season. The championship battle is heating up after McLaren's disastrous sprint race earlier today, where both drivers crashed out on lap 1. Oscar Piastri still leads the championship by 55 points over Verstappen, but Max has just grabbed pole and he's got momentum on his side. Buckle up, we're going driver by driver from P20 to P1, and I'm giving you my raw, unfiltered reaction to everything that went down at the Circuit of Americas. Let's start at the back with the drivers who didn't even make it through Q1, and honestly, some of these eliminations are brutal. P20 was Isack Hadjar and P19 was Alex Albon. Okay, so Hadjar doesn't even have a time. Why? Because he crashed hard in Q1 at turn 6. He loses the rear mid-corner. There's nothing he can do. It's such a fast section. And boom, straight into the barriers. The session goes red flagged and Hadjar's qualifying is done. You can see him in the cockpit afterwards absolutely furious with himself, hitting his helmet in frustration. This is a rookie making his mark in F1 and he's been doing well this season, but this is a tough lesson. Kota is unforgiving, especially with the windy conditions today. The gusts were crazy. Drivers were complaining all session about how unpredictable the car felt. Hadjar pushed too hard and it cost him everything. Starting from the back tomorrow is going to be a mountain to climb. Alex Albon in P19, and this one stings because he actually thought he was safe. Albon managed to get a lap in before the red flag for Hadjar's crash and he shot up into the top 15. He was safe, but then, plot twist, his lap time gets deleted for exceeding track limits at turn 15. Track limits have been brutal all weekend at Kota. That exit at turn 15 is so easy to run wide on. You're carrying so much speed and the runoff is right there. But the stewards don't care. You go over the white line, lap time deleted, done. So Albon drops from safe to P19, eliminated. His teammate Carlos Sainz makes Q3, but Albon struggling. Starting P19 tomorrow means he's got zero chance at points, unless something crazy happens in the race. P18 was Lance Stroll and P17 was Esteban Ocon. Stroll has been off the pace all weekend. His teammate Fernando Alonso makes Q3 and qualifies P10 respectively, while Stroll can't even get out of Q1. That's a gap of 8 positions between teammates. 8. And remember, Stroll was involved in that massive crash in the sprint race earlier today when he plowed into Esteban Ocon at turn 1 with a few laps to go. He got a 5-place grid penalty for tomorrow's race for that move, but honestly, he's already starting so far back that the penalty barely matters. So yeah, Lance, rough a day at the office. P18 in qualifying, grid penalty incoming, and completely outclassed by your teammate. Not great. Ocon was involved in that sprint race crash with Stroll. He was the victim in that collision. Stroll just drove straight into him at turn 1, and Ocon's race was over. Heavy impact, scary moment, but thankfully both drivers walked away okay. Now, in qualifying, Ocon struggling for pace. Haas has been up and down all season, and Kota is not playing to their strength. The bumpy track surface, the high-speed corners, it's exposing the car's weaknesses. His teammate, Oliver Bearman, actually makes Q3 and qualifies P8, which is mega for a rookie, so that makes Ocon's P17 even more painful. He's being out-qualified by a rookie by 9 positions. That's gotta hurt. P16 was Gabriel Bortoleto and P15 was Franco Colapinto. Bortoleto is another rookie and he's had a challenging weekend. He had his first lap time deleted for exceeding track limits early in Q1, those track limits again. And then he couldn't improve enough to get out of the bottom 5. Kota is tough for rookies. You've got high-speed corners, elevation changes, wind gusts, and unforgiving track limits. Bortoleto's teammate, Nico Hülkenberg, gets through to Q2 barely, so the car has pace, but Bortoleto just couldn't extract it today. Starting P16 tomorrow, it's all about the race experience. Get through the chaos of the first lap, learn the car, learn the track, and bring it home in one piece. Alright, now we're into Q2, the drivers who made it through the first cut but couldn't break into the top 10 shootout, and honestly, some of these are surprises. Franco Colapinto in P15 for Alpine, and this is not the result he was hoping for. Colapinto's been one of the feel-good stories of 25. He stepped up mid-season for Alpine and has shown flashes of real talent, but quota is proving to be a struggle. He just wasn't fast enough to crack the top 10. Alpine as a team is struggling. His teammate Pierre Gasly also didn't make Q3, and the car just doesn't have the pace here. The high-speed corners are exposing the lack of downforce, and the Alpine is sliding everywhere. Starting P15 means Colapinto's going to have to fight through traffic tomorrow. Points are possible if there's chaos, but he'll need some luck. P14 was Pierre Gasly, and P13 was Yuki Tsunoda. Pierre Gasly outqualifying his teammate but still eliminated in Q2. Gasly is a veteran. He knows how to extract every tenth from a car, but the Alpine just doesn't have the pace. He's getting everything out of it, but it's not enough. What's concerning for Alpine is that they're getting lapped by the top teams, figuratively and literally. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, they're in a different league. Even teams like Haas and Williams are beating Alpine today. Gasly's got a long race ahead tomorrow, starting from P14. He'll need to be aggressive on strategy, maybe go for an early stop or late stint on softs to try and steal some points. Yuki Tsunoda in P13, and this is painful for him because Red Bull messed up his sprint qualifying earlier, and now he's struggling again. In sprint qualifying, Tsunoda didn't make it to the line in time to start final flying lap in SQ1 because Red Bull sent him out too late. He was furious on the radio and you could hear the frustration in his voice. Now, in the main qualifying, he makes it to Q2 but can't crack the top 10. He's been destroyed by his teammate Verstappen, who's on pole. That's a 13 position gap between teammates. Look, Tsunoda's talented, we've seen that. But the pressure of being Verstappen's teammate is brutal. When Max is extracting 110% from that car, it's almost impossible to keep up. Yuki's got to be feeling the heat, especially with his contract situation up in the air. P13 tomorrow, he needs a clean start and good strategy to salvage points. P12 was Liam Lawson and P11 was Nico Hülkenberg. Lawson had a great lap going. He was looking quick through the first two sectors, but then his time gets deleted for exceeding track limits at turn 90. Track limits strike again. Without that deletion, he might have snuck into Q3, but instead he's P12, just missing out. That's got to be frustrating because the pace was there. Starting P12, he's in the DRS train. If he can get a good start and avoid the first lap chaos, points are definitely on the table. Nico Hülkenberg in P11, and honestly, this is impressive given how much he's punching above the car's weight. Earlier in sprint qualifying, Hülkenberg was flying. He qualified P4 for the sprint, fourth in a kick Sauber. That's the team's best sprint qualifying performance ever. He said afterwards, it looked too good to be true, and he wasn't sure if it was real or if other teams were sandbagging. Now, in the main qualifying, the car just doesn't have the pace to make Q3, but P11 is still a solid result. He's beaten his rookie teammate Bortoleto by 5 positions, and he's straight on the edge of the points starting P11 tomorrow. Hülkenberg is the driver to watch at the start. He's got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and he'll be aggressive into turn 1. If there's chaos, he'll capitalize. That's what veterans do. Now we're into Q3, the top 10 shootout. These are the drivers fighting for the best grid positions, and every hundredth of a second matters. P10 was Fernando Alonso and P9 was Carlos Sainz. Fernando Alonso in P10 for Aston Martin, and honestly, Fernando's just happy to be here. Aston Martin has been struggling all season, they're not in the fight with the top teams. But Alonso, a two-time world champion, and he knows how to drag a car into Q3 on pure skill and racecraft. His teammate Stroll is down in P18, and so Alonso's carrying the team on his back right now. He's not going to challenge for the win tomorrow, but starting P10 means he's in the points-paying positions if he has a clean race. At 43 years old, Fernando's still showing why he's one of the greats. He's maximizing what that Aston Martin can do. Carlos Sainz in P9 for Williams. And this is great result for the team. Williams is punching above their weight this weekend. Sainz is showing why Ferrari signed him for years. He's consistent, he's fast, and he knows how to get most out of the midfield car. Starting P9 tomorrow, Sainz is in a great position to score big points. If he can get a good start and undercut some of the cars ahead on strategy, a top 5 finish is absolutely possible. P8 was Oli Bearman and P7 is Kimi Antonelli. Oli Bearman in P8, and I'm so hyped about this. Bearman is a rookie, and he's just put his Haas in P8 in qualifying at one of the toughest tracks on the calendar. That is mega. He's beating his teammate Ocon by 9 positions. 9. That takes serious talent and confidence. Haas has found something this weekend, and Bearman is delivering. This is kind of performance that gets you noticed, that proves you belong in F1. Starting P8 tomorrow, Bearman is going to be under pressure. The experienced drivers behind him are going to be all over him, but if he keeps his cool and races smart, he could score points. Antonelli was just confirmed as a Mercedes driver for 2026 earlier this week, and he's showing why Mercedes has so much faith in him. He just missed out on making SQ3 in spring qualifying by just 6 thousandths, but he bounced back to make Q3 for the main race. He's being beaten by his teammate George Russell, who's P4 but P7 is respectable for a rookie. Mercedes has been strong this weekend. Russell was P2 in sprint earlier today, and Antonelli is learning from one of the best. Starting P7 tomorrow, Antonelli needs to focus on a clean start and managing the race. Don't try to be a hero on lap 1. Let the race come to you, and the points will follow. P6 was Oscar Piastri and P5 was Lewis Hamilton. Piastri has had an awful day. First in the sprint race earlier today, Nico Hülkenberg tags him at turn 1 on first lap, which sends Piastri spinning into his teammate Lando Norris. Both McLarens crash out on lap 1. Piastri tries to continue, but the suspension is damaged and he retires. McLaren scores 0 points in the sprint. Verstappen wins and closes the championship gap from 63 points to 55. Piastri's lead is evaporating. Now in qualifying, Piastri qualifies only P6. He's described his lap as crappy. It wasn't clean, he made mistakes, and he couldn't extract the pace. Meanwhile, his teammate Lando Norris is in P2, 4 positions ahead. This is huge problem for Piastri. He's still leading the championship, but Max is on pole. Max won the sprint and Max has all the momentum. Piastri needs to have a perfect race tomorrow to stop the bleeding. Alright, here we go. The top 5. These are the drivers fighting for the win tomorrow. Lewis Hamilton in P5 for Ferrari, and this is below expectations. Ferrari has been struggling all weekend. Hamilton locked up at turn 1 on his first Q3 run and couldn't improve his time. His teammate Charles Leclerc is in P3, second row, so the car has pace, but Hamilton just couldn't put the lap together. Hamilton is still searching for his first podium of the season since joining Ferrari. Kota is a track where he's had success in the past, but starting P5, he's going to have his work cut out for him tomorrow. Lewis needs a perfect start, get past Russell off the line, latch onto the leaders, and hope Ferrari's race pace is stronger than their qualifying pace. P4 was George Russell and P3 was Charles Leclerc. George Russell in P4 for Mercedes. And Russell is on fire right now. Now in qualifying, Russell is P4, right in the mix with the front runners. Mercedes has been strong all weekend. The car is working well at Kota, and Russell has just extended his contract with Mercedes alongside his teammate Antonelli. Starting P4 tomorrow, Russell is going to be aggressive. He'll be looking to jump Leclerc or Norris at the start on strategy. Don't count George out. He could be the dark horse for the win. Leclerc had a disaster on his first Q3 run. He spun at the final corner like full 360-degree spin. He lost the rear, couldn't catch it, and the car rotated. But on his second run, Leclerc delivered. He pulled out an insane lap to slot into P3, just 6 thousandths behind Norris in P2. 6 thousandths, that's nothing. Leclerc is a warrior. He won last year race in Austin. Ferrari claimed the 1-2 finish, and now he's starting on the second row. Ferrari's race pace has been strong historically at Kota, and Leclerc will be looking to capitalize tomorrow. Starting P3, Leclerc has a huge opportunity. If he can get past Norris off the line and latch onto Verstappen, he could challenge for the win. P2 was Lando Norris, and on pole is Max Verstappen. Lando Norris in P2, and this is bittersweet for McLaren. On one hand, Norris qualifies on the front row next to Verstappen, and that's exactly where you want to be for the race start. On the other hand, McLaren had a nightmare in the sprint earlier today. Both Norris and Piastri crashed out on lap 1. McLaren scored 0 points, and Verstappen took the win. McLaren also announced earlier this week that Norris will face repercussions for his role in that Singapore crash. So there's tension inside McLaren right now. Norris is P2 in the championship, 22 points behind Piastri, and he needs to close that gap. Starting P2 tomorrow, Norris has a golden opportunity. He's on the front row, he's got a great race pace, and if he can get past Verstappen at the start or undercut him on strategy, he could win this race. But he cannot afford another mistake. McLaren is watching. Max Verstappen on pole position, and he's absolutely unstoppable. Max dominated today. He was fastest in Q1, Q2, and Q3. He beats Norris by almost 3 tenths. That's a massive margin in qualifying. And here's the crazy part. Max doesn't need a second run. That's dominance. That's confidence. Max is 55 points behind Piastri in the championship, but he's got all the momentum. He won the sprint today, he's on pole for tomorrow, and he's looking unstoppable. Red Bull has found something with that car at Kota. The high-speed corners, the long straights, the bumpy surface, it's all playing to their strengths. Starting from pole tomorrow, Verstappen is the favorite to win. He's got the pace, he's got the confidence, and he's got Piastri starting all the way back in P6. This is Max's chance to close the championship gap even more. Alright, let's recap this insane qualifying session. We had Isack Hadjar crashing out in Q1 and red flagging the session. Track limits destroying drivers' laps left and right. Albon, Lawson, Gasly all got times deleted. Charles Leclerc spinning at the final corner in Q3 but bouncing back to qualify P3 on the second row. McLaren's nightmare weekend continuing with Piastri only P6 after crashing out in the sprint. And Max Verstappen putting in lap for the ages and taking pole by nearly 3 tenths without even needing a second run. So what should you be watching for in tomorrow's race? Turn 1 is a long run up to tight left-hander with a blind entry. We've already seen a multi-car crash there in the sprint earlier today. Norris will be looking to challenge Verstappen off the line. Leclerc will be aggressive from P3 and Russell in P4 has nothing to lose. If there's contact, if someone locks up, if someone gets squeezed, it could decide the entire race. Max has been untouchable all weekend. If he gets a clean start and builds up a gap in the first 10 laps, the race could be over. The only way to beat him is on strategy. Undercut him in the pit stops or go long and hope he has a tire deck. Bearman in P8 and Antonelli in P7, both rookies in great positions. If they have clean races and avoid the chaos, they could both score big points. That would be huge for their confidence and their future in F1. This is going to be epic. We've got Max Verstappen on pole looking to dominate and close the championship gap. We've got Lando Norris on the front row looking to attack and keep his championship hopes alive. We've got Charles Leclerc on the second row looking to repeat last year's victory in Austin. We've got George Russell in P4 with race-winning pace. We've got Oscar Piastri in P6, everything to lose as the championship leader. And we've got 56 laps of racing at one of the best tracks on the calendar. So there you have it, my full reaction to 2025 US Grand Prix qualifying from P20 to P1. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button. It helps the algorithm push the video to more F1 fans like you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss my race reaction tomorrow. I'll be breaking down every lap, every overtake, and every bit of drama from the US Grand Prix. Max Verstappen is on pole, Lando Norris is on front row, Oscar Piastri is in trouble. Tomorrow's race is going to decide whether Max closes the championship gap or whether McLaren holds him off. This is the race that could change everything in the 2025 title fight. Thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.